This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
Race fans, you wanted the best? You've got them. Live on DirtVision.com. Presented by Dry D. The World of Outlaws. NOS Energy Drink Sprint Cars. The World of Outlaws. Morton Buildings Late Models. Knoxville Raceway and the Knoxville Nationals. And the Dirt Cars Summer Nationals are all available live. Sprint car and late model fast passes are available now for just $39 a month, with single event subscriptions available as well. From Volusia to Charlotte, Fairbury to Lernerville, Eldora to Macon, and everywhere in between, Dirt Vision has you covered all season long. Every race, live, anywhere, anytime. Don't be left in the dust. Sign up for Dirt Vision today.
Competition is in full swing here on iRacing and the iRacing Esports Network, and it's time to kick off our second of now 3 Dirt Oval World Championships with the World of Outlaws Morton Buildings Late Model World Championship. Randy Cheneth, Tim Terry, and Hugo Louis will be in here bringing you all the action for this season opener here at Volusia. And Tim, the sprint cars put on a fantastic show, and Alex Bergeron finds himself nearly $12,000 richer after 10 weeks of competition. But it is time to kick off another season, which feels a little bit weird to be doing so in June.
Yeah, it was a great championship to kick off the Dirt Oval World Championships, but now we get the late models on the racetrack, and as you mentioned, it's a brand new series, a brand new sheet of paper going in to this one, and we're going to see who gets the first strike in when we come to Volusia and see who can take away those points and set themselves up for a potential championship run this year.
And for those who are familiar with the Sprint Car Championship, the format here tonight is going to be identical, and the format for this championship is going to be identical to what we saw in the Sprint Cars. 4 8-lap heat races, top 4 from each will advance directly to the feature, and then 2 Twin B mains, of which the top couple drivers will get taken out, and then we will have a 50-lap feature event that gets upped from 30, which we saw in the winged sprint cars. Of course, sprint cars typically run only about 30-lap feature events, so unless they're on quarter milers, you might see them bump it up to 35 or 40, and of course the Kings Royal as well, they will run to 40 also. But late models typically see longer races, so because of that, we're running 50 laps here tonight. But before we get to racing, qualifying is about to kick off, and during the qualifying session, we're going to have a chat with the Real World of Outlaws Morton Buildings Late Model Series Director, Casey Schumann, is on hand. And Casey, it's fantastic for you to join us. How are you today?
I'm doing good. How are you guys?
We are doing fantastic, Casey. How familiar were you with iRacing prior to the official partnership announcement and the launch of the iRacing World of Outlaws Series Championships?
I mean, I've messed around with it a little bit, played when I do have a little bit of free time in my schedule, but I've just started to pay attention a little bit more, with the partnership we have with the Outlaws and the late model series. I've got to try my hand at a late model a little bit and dabble when I get a chance.
And as a real-world racer yourself and someone that has iRacing experience, what benefits can you see real-world drivers getting from running laps on iRacing, or guys wanting to someday be real-world dirt drivers?
I would say probably the biggest thing is just learning the racetracks. It's pretty amazing how realistic every part of a racetrack is when iRacing puts one up. I mean, it is very, very realistic. I mean, every bump and all the stuff that you would experience in a real race car, you get to experience on the computer. It's pretty neat.
And the end of June and into July is always sort of a big spool-up month, and really across the entire country for dirt racing. The real-world equivalent to this championship is, of course, this Friday going to Terre Haute. That's going to be a fantastic show. But really, what does it mean to you guys to have this championship start up really right in the middle of the busy season of dirt racing through pretty much the entire country? Of course, the Kings Royal mixed in there toward the end of July as well.
Oh, I mean, it's really cool. I mean, it's cool for some of our fans to, and some guys may never get an experience, what it's like to drive a race car, but, some of these guys, and we've seen it in the past with some of the NASCAR guys, and I think William Byron is a good example where, some of these guys put on a good show and show some of these owners what they can do, and it shows the owners know how realistic this is, and gives them a chance to maybe go and get in a real race car and go do it. And it's very cool to have our name and our brand associated with it, and it just creates that much more buzz about what we have going on our side in the real world.
Before we let you go, Casey, of course, we got done with the Sprint Car Championship just several weeks ago. A lot of our viewers, of course, maybe not fully familiar with dirt racing. How can they expect these late models to race differently from the wing sprint cars we saw through the first 10 weeks of competition?
I mean, the racing itself is going to be great. I mean, it's in real life and on iRacing, everything I've watched, I catch myself watching sprint car races and late model races now on iRacing, and it's just as exciting as the real thing. You just maybe don't get quite as dusty. So it's been really cool. I'm excited to kind of see how it plays out and see some of the names that come to the front, and I expect it to be some really, really good hard racing, just like I see, on iRacing all the time.
Well, thanks for joining us, Casey, and thanks again for everything you guys do at World of Outlaws and your partnership and your support here on the iRacing service and making these championships possible. We hope to hear from you in the near future, and you enjoy the show tonight.
Absolutely, and good luck to everyone. I just put on a good show, and I'll be watching.
There he was, Casey Schumann, series director from the Real Series of Morton Buildings Late Model Championship from the World of Outlaws. And let's take a peek at your schedule and the 10-race championship these guys are going to be doing. This is, of course, going to be happening every single Monday, every single Monday. There is a lot of money on hand in this championship, but that's not the word I was going for. Round one, of course, today here at Volusia Speedway Park. And then, as you can see, every single Monday night is going to get busy for these guys. You have Lima Land in there a couple times, second round and the second to final round of the championship. Knoxville in 2 weeks, Eldora, and then Volusia again on July 22nd. Kokomo, Knoxville once again, Williams Grove, Lima Land, and the dirt track at Charlotte rounding everything out in August. Tim, it's a fantastic championship for these guys, and really, this being the second Dirt World Championship we have, really has made 2019 the biggest championship season we've ever had here on RaceSpotTV and the iRacing Esports Network.
And Randy, it's a stacked schedule as well. There's only 10 rounds. You have to be on your game every single night that you're on the racetrack. And you look at the venues that we have. We come to Volusia twice. You go to Knoxville twice. You end at the dirt track at Charlotte. It's a great, diverse schedule of 10 rounds. And as you mentioned, every Monday night, you've got to be on it in order to win a championship and win some of that money, as qualifying is just wrapped up.
Qualifying has wrapped up, and we are getting ready to go to that first heat race of this season. And you know what? Let's go down your starting grid for that opening heat race of the World of Outlaws Morton Buildings, the Late Model Championship Series here on iRacing. Hayden Cardwell puts in quick time here for the opening round. He will start on the pole of heat race number 1 with Evan C. on the outside of that front row. Blake Cannon and Justin Thompson are on row number 2 with Howard Weaver and James Edens. On row 3, Garrett Robertson and Chris Beck on row number 4, and Phil Diaz will make up this 9-car field. Tim, I know for you of course, most people will recognize your voice from the iRacing, the Peak Antifreeze series and all the coverage you've done there. How is it for you coming in and seeing so many familiar names running in these cars as well? We have Phil Diaz, of course, in this grid, and we'll have Casey Kerwin in one of the other races as well at some point down the line. How interesting is it for you to see so many people you've called in races for so long really start to branch out into these other championships?
It's really great to see. They're multi-talented, but we already knew that. We mentioned Casey Kerwin, Phil Diaz in this field, Zach Leonardi. I've seen him run legend cars in real life before, obviously defending champion of this series. And as this heat race rolls off, I looked down the list earlier, the roster, and I saw Justin Thompson's name. He's been around sim racing for a while, so kind of a blast from the past for me. I'm kind of excited to see this 98 roll.
Yep, so the field will roll off for their first of 2 pace laps. Again, this late model championship, the dirt racing will be very similar. Of course, very similar techniques in these late models versus the open wheel cars, but of course, very, very different from a winged sprint car or even an unwinged sprint car, which you're going to be seeing a little bit later in the year here on the iRacing Esports Network. Cars a bit heavier, a lot of aero, as you can see, just based on how these cars are built. They don't really resemble the stock cars as they used to come off the showroom, but very, very heavy. You're going to see some different lines of racing from what we saw just a handful of weeks ago when we put a cap on the World of Outlaws NOS Energy Drink Sprint Car World Championship. They just crossed the starter stand on the front straightaway, so the drivers will be getting that 1-to-go signal, and then Hayden Cardwell will be put in command of the field to get the first drop of the green flag here on the World of Outlaws Morton Buildings Late Model Championship Series here in 2019. That iRacing safety truck gets ready to duck down on towards pit road, and we will now watch that white and lime green number 72 car of Hayden Cardwell. Where will he pick up the throttle? I think he'll do it a little bit early to open up a gap and start his season out right. Green flag flies, and we are green here at Volusia.
And look at Cannon right there on the hop, picks up position number 2 right away. Slide job up the racetrack. 33 trying to get into the middle and make it 3 wide. Thompson sticks the nose in on the inside. Randy, they're looking for a top 4 position here, and they're all stacked up for the bubble.
Everyone wants to transfer in the top 4, and right now it's going to be Justin Thompson who takes that transfer spot in the early goings. But look up to the top side. Outside of him, it's the 52 of James Edens. James, your runner-up in the Sprint Car Championship just a couple weeks ago. He wants to race his way into a transfer spot. Howard Weaver trying to make it 3 wide with those two as they work onto the front straightaway off of turn 4. Thompson loses that transfer spot as they head into turn 1. It's going to be James Edens who takes it as they run down the back straightaway.
Edens has been smooth on that outside line, trying to make that run work, but Thompson fires back on the inside. Howard Weaver looking for something to happen there from just behind this battle as they continue on down to the corner. Look at that 07 of Weaver try to get the bite on the inside.
Weaver's trying to get it. There's good dirt down there on the low line, down the back straightaway, but on the front straight, it's really slick coming off of turn 4, and especially in towards 1 and 2. Your top 3 have single filed out, and they got big gaps between them. Hayden Cardwell leads the way at the head of the field by a couple car lengths, followed by Blake Cannon and Even C, who has cycled into that 3rd spot. The 52 of James Edens now as they single file through. He holds that transfer spot. The 98 of Thompson trying everything he can to get there, and Weaver's trying to put a move on him.
Weaver's trying to put a move on him. Thompson has to play offense to try to catch up to Edens, but he also has to play defense to try to keep that 07 of Weaver behind them. They'll come by this time, and a complete lap number 6, 2 laps to go. And if Thompson wants to get into this one through the heat race, he's got to get up on the wheel here. Here comes Weaver to the inside.
Weaver's going to try to make a move. Blake Cannon put in a couple of good laps as well and brought the gap down to that 72 car of Hayden Cardwell. But we'll watch Howard Weaver in that 07 machine off of turn 4. White flag at the starter stand this time through 1 and 2 for the final time in your opening heat race. And everything's really single filed out. Not a great run just yet for Howard Weaver. As they work in towards 3 and 4, the 72 of Hayden Cardwell just going to take a nice smooth run to the start finish. He will win your opening heat race here in 2019 with Blake Cannon, Evan Cee, and James Edens rounding out your top 4. Justin Thompson, Howard Weaver, Garrett Robinson, Chris Beck, and Phil Diaz will round out the 9-car field. Those 5 will have an opportunity to race their way in one of the 2 LCQs a little bit later on in the night. And of course, for everyone who watched this championship from last year, all of the championships on iRacing in 2019 have gotten a nice little uptick in prize pool. So this championship goes from $10,000 prize purse total to $10,000 to the winner, $25,000 total up for grabs, as well as a weekly purse to win every single main event. $300 to the winner, $200 to second, and $100 goes to third throughout this entire championship. And really the highlight, if you win this championship, you get the opportunity to wheel a Clint Boyer late model, I believe, at the dirt track at Charlotte Motor Speedway. But with that said, heat race number 2 is rolling off, so let's go down the 9-car field for this one. Kendall Tucker and Kevin Dedmon will make up that front row, with Austin Carr and Alex Bergeron, your Sprint Car Series champion, on row number 2. Tyler Schell and Nick Cooper on row 3. Adam Elby and Blake Garrett on row 4, with the 007 of Jacob Fields supposed to be in that 9th spot, but he has not made the heat race here. And that's not a great way to start your championship, Tim.
No, definitely not a good way to start off round number 1 of 10. Obviously, Alex Bergeron going to be one to watch here, but we saw Edens work that outside line in that first heat race. We'll see what anybody can do to try to get up here and make it into the top 4 and transfer the easy way into the feature tonight.
1 to go signal comes from the starter stand as they work in towards 1 and 2. Kendall Tucker in command of the field this time. A lot of new cars and new looks this year for this championship. Couple, though, definitely rocking some familiar colors. I think notably that the car we have on the back there of the 74 car of Adam Elby, very familiar colors from the Swindell Speed Labs driver. But with that said, we're about to go green flag racing here once again. Swindell Speed Lab sort of has a sandwich on this heat race. Car at the point, car at the back. Let's see what they can do. Kendall Tucker picks up the throttle, and we are green for heat number 2.
Tucker was on it on that start, going down into corner number 1. Little contact there. Bergeron up the racetrack, 3 wide, almost 4 wide. They still are sideways, and Bergeron, the odd man, out the back.
Bergeron, not a great start from him whatsoever. They're fighting for second as well. Kevin Dedmon on the outside. Austin Carr down low in the 1, in towards 1 and 2. Carr's going to have to drive it through the slick. Can't quite get with that right rear up into the tacky stuff, but he'll manage to get a good run off regardless. The 00 of Kendall Tucker is going to be loving this. He'll be able to open up a slide opening on the rest of the field as they're going to single file out behind him.
Right behind them, Nick Cooper takes position number 4, but Adam Elby is there. But now Cooper able to go on the offense a little bit, try to drive up to this battle for position number 2. The 74 of Elby drives it in deep into the corner, trying to make up a little bit of ground on the 35 of Cooper. They were side by side in the opening lap, but now the 35 has a little bit of breathing room behind and a little bit of time to take a peek to the outside of the 1 of Carr.
Trying to get there, but can't quite get there at the moment, can he, as they work down in towards the corners number 3 and 4. Austin Carr trying everything he can to both defend this position and get the move on Kevin Dedmon as well, while holding off Nick Cooper. These top 4, though, have started to stretch a gap. Not just your race leader, who has about a 0.6 of a second advantage over Kevin Dedmon. That's Kendall Tucker, of course, leading the field in that 00, and Austin Carr closes a little bit on that 0 car of Kevin Dedmon, of the 308 of Kevin Dedmon. Off of turn 2 and down the back straight as they will drive. The 1 car has a run in towards 3.
To the inside goes Carr up the racetrack, and a little crossover move there for Dedmon. Back to the inside as they'll duke it out for position number 2. Closes in Cooper just a little bit. Cooper is licking his chops right now, trying to get up to this battle in front of him. Still side by side as they'll come to the white flag this time.
Last time around, Volusia for heat race number 2, as Austin Carr will get a run off the corner, and they'll work down the front straightaway. Up the inside goes the 308 of Kevin Dedmon. Gonna throw it hard in towards 1 and 2. Doesn't get a great run down the back straightaway. The 1 of Austin Carr. He'll have the position in towards 3 and 4. Out at the head of the field, Kendall Tucker will win the heat race, and Austin Carr is gonna steal the 2nd spot away from Kevin Dedmon in the closing moments. 4th place will go to Nick Cooper, with the likes of Adam Elby, Alex Bergeron, Tyler Schell, Blake Garrett rounding out what ended up being an 8-car field, and Jacob Fields, as we said, not taking the start there for that 2nd heat race. Tim, this is a very, very racy Volusia Speedway Park tonight.
Yeah, we just saw it there with that battle for position number 2. That was some great racing. We saw Alex Bergeron get tossed around a little bit on the opening lap and made his way back up to position number 6. Was battling with Elby at the end for 5th, but just couldn't seem to get that position made. So 2 heat races down, some great heat racing so far, and it looks like heat race number 3 getting ready to hit the grid and ready to put on another show here to see who'll qualify for that A-main coming up.
Heat race number 3 is coming at you, so let's take a quick peek at the starting grid. Defending series champion from this season last year, Zach Leonardi will start on the inside of the front row, puts in 3rd quickest time of the night. He'll start inside of Blake Matulos, Randall Carter, and Shad Prescott on row number 2, with Dylan Hauser and Brian Waynett on row 3. Virgil Graham and Blake Brown on row 4, with Jeremy Caprone at the tail end of this 9-car field. And the 24 car of Leonardi, Tim, has to be happy about that. Tim Ryan, we saw him win the Sprint Car Championship in 2018. He came out and he just had basically an up and down year all season. Didn't qualify well the season opener. Leonardi's probably happy that he sort of gets that monkey off his back, comes in as the defending series champion, and kind of, you know, starts defending that early here at Volusia by putting himself third quickest on in qualifying.
Yeah, a great qualifying effort, but we'll see what he can do here in this heat race. Got to be up on the wheel here in order to make something happen, as Leonardi trying to set that defending championship off in grand style here at Volusia.
So heat race number 3 getting ready to come at you. Top 4, as we've been saying all night, transfer to the main event. Everyone else goes to the twin last chance qualifiers at the end of the night. iRacing safety truck waiting, peels off, puts the good field in command of the 24 Leonardi. Zach's going to pick up the throttle. We're green, and they're nearly 3 abreast for 3rd, 4th, and 5th already.
Yeah, Hauser was on it to the inside, almost made it 3 wide, had to back out of it. He battles now for position number 5 with the 88 on the outside. Little slide job there. 88 grabs the wall a little bit. No harm, no foul, though, as they continue on to complete lap number 1.
Off of turn 4 and down the front straightaway. Your top 4 as they run: Leonardi, Matulos, Prescott, and Carter. But the 2 of Dylan Hauser is right there. He was fantastic in the sprint cars, but I think he's a bit of a late model specialist. Up the inside of the 37 of Randall Carter. Can't quite get the drive off that he needs, but he still just about maintains an overlap. In towards 1 and 2. He'll throw it up the inside once again. The 42 lurking in the background as well. That's Virgil Graham. He actually makes a mistake, and the 88's going to pounce on that, and he will take that 6th spot away.
Hauser throwing it down to these corners and trying to make it stick, trying to get that spot away from the 37 of Carter, transfer in, dives it in deep down into corner number 1, trying to make this thing happen. 37 on the outside of Carter, continuing to have that spot, not letting it go easy, but Hauser, man, oh man, he's throwing it into these corners on the inside.
Hauser is definitely brave, and he is not afraid to throw a move. We've seen a couple of contacts already with the 37 car. These heavier cars, the late models, they can take a little bit more of a beating than the sprint cars can. A little bit of contact there between the 37 and the 2 down the back straightaway. This time, Dylan Hauser throws the slider, and he takes the nose completely off of Randall Carter's car. Up into 1 and 2. Now the 37 will try to somehow get this thing back underneath him and respond, but he's got a very, very quick number 88 car, Brian Wayans, trying to take that 5th spot away and challenge with the 2 of Dylan Hauser. Out in front, though, your top 4, they remain single file as Leonardi still leads the field.
And Hauser's pulling away from it here in position number 4. Carter now has to play defense as he has Wayart right behind him. But Leonardi right now coming down to that final lap and trying to pick up a victory here in heat race number 3.
White flag this time as they roll through 1 and 2. Your top 4 all pretty much single filed out. Shad Prescott is there on the 127 of Blake Matulos, but I don't think it's going to matter. 3 abreast in the background, though, as they head in towards 3 and 4, and there's going to be a little bit of contact, but it won't affect the 24 of Zach Leonardi, who will win this 3rd heat race here with Blake Matulos, Shad Prescott, and Dylan Hauser rounding out your 4-car field. Rest of your finishers will be Randall Carter, Brian Wayant Jr., Virgil Graham, Blake Brown, and Jeremy Caprone through 8 laps of racing. Tim, it's good to see this racetrack after, basically 3 heat races now. This place is getting racier and racier every time cars hit the track.
We saw a great battle there in the middle of the pack and for the transfer position in that heat race. We saw a great battle in the heat race prior as well, and we saw some drivers on these starts getting up on the wheel and trying to make every position that they can. We saw that out of the 2 car of Hauser trying to get to the inside on that initial start of that last heat race. We'll see who becomes the hero here in heat race number 4.
Field's already rolling off, so let's take a peek at your starting grid. The 999 of Dylan Fox will be on the inside of the front row with the 32 of Steven Wilson on his outside. Row number 2 will be Tyler Ducharme and Austin Semmelman. Brandon Proudfoot and Drew Hirschko will make up row 3 with Casey Kerwin, who's our featured onboard driver for tonight, starting inside of the 51 of Matt McKinney. Of course, Casey here, Tim, he's one of the representatives as well from that eNASCAR Peak Antifreeze iRacing Series race championship. He's got himself a little bit of Peak sponsorship on board, that number 14 iRacing sponsorship as well, and running for Clint Boyer is that 14 car. So good to see the sort of crossover there from the dirt and the NASCAR side of things.
And look at that big smile on his face as well, as we'll get to see a little bit of in-car shots.
I think Casey Kerwin basically has two moods. He has smile and send it, does that 14 car, and he's not afraid to do either. Not a great qualifying for him tonight. Let's see if he can run that car towards the front of the field through this final heat race before we go into the twin last chance qualifiers. 999 to Dylan Fox will be in command of the field as the iRacing safety truck looks to head down on towards the safety of pit road and get the action back going once again. Put 8 laps up on the board, and Dylan Fox will start counting them down. We are green in heat race number 4.
And a great start for your leader, Fox. The battle's going to be for position number 2. Ducharme up the racetrack a little bit, trying to stop the momentum of the 18 car on the outside. And we got another battle for a transfer position. There's Proudfoot sticking his nose to the inside, and Casey Kerwin's a part of this battle as well.
A great start from Casey. He's already put 2 cars behind him, and now he's going to start working on the 22 and the 18. Austin Semmelman and Braden Proudfoot, they're side by side. Little contact from the 14 in the background as Casey's trying to do everything he can. Look at the way he's leaning over, just trying to wheel that thing. It's just like the Cars movie. You have to turn right to go left, don't you? The 14 goes up the inside of the 22 of Braden Proudfoot. Can't quite get the runner, can he? Up the inside, little bit of contact in towards 3, and the 14 of Kerwin makes it 3 cars in 3 laps in the rearview mirror as the 22 gets a slight touch from the 51.
Matthew McKinney trying to come through as Kerwin now to the outside. Slide job from Proudfoot. There goes Kerwin back to the inside. Beautiful move. And oh, by the way, there's the 26 of Hirschko to the inside. He picks up 2 for 1. 22 goes around 14 of Kerwin half sideways as well.
51 to McKinney may be involved in that, but for the most part, the only car that really loses out will be the 22 of Proudfoot. Everyone else still out there and running, and that hard fighting cost them a lot of time, Tim. Look at the breakaway the top 4 have. Dylan Fox, Steve Wilson, Tyler Ducharme, Austin Semmelman. Kind of a dream situation for those guys. They're almost guaranteed a transfer spot as long as they keep it out of the wall.
And Hirschko was on the inside, minding his P's and Q's and trying to get around this, but he lost a little bit of time. As you mentioned, he's about 0.7 of a second behind your transfer position, but they might get busy up here for position number 3. Randy, the 9 of Ducharme, has Semmelman on the back bumper, and I know they're locked in. They got a transfer position right now, but you better believe they want to move up one more spot in that A main lineup.
Well, it won't just be one more spot. Remember, it'll actually be essentially 2 rows. You will bump yourself forward in that starting spot. For the main event. White flag this time through with Austin Semmelman. He's trying to size up that 9 car of Tyler Ducharme and set anything up any way he can as they work down the back straight and in towards 3 and 4. I don't think he's going to have enough, and it's going to be the 999 of Dylan Fox who will take victory in heat race number 4 with Steve Wilson, Tyler Ducharme, and Austin Semmelman rounding out the transferees. Drew Hirschko, Matt McKinney, Casey Kerwin, and Brandon Proudfoot will round out the 8-car field from heat race number 4. And Tim, we're about to go LCQ racing, which, as you know, can get crazy. And this place is, I think, about to provide some amazing racing for these guys to work with.
We saw some crazy racing in that last heat race for a transfer position on back, and some of those drivers might feel like they were robbed a little bit, and they didn't get the position that they deserved. But now it's time to get up on the wheel. It's go or go home time. You really have to make it happen here. 12 laps, top 2 will advance. Everybody else gets to watch the rest of the racing on the iRacing Esports Network.
And the thing is, Tim, is that, of course, there's only 2 cars transferring. That's, of course, pretty low from what oftentimes you'll typically see for sort of a Saturday night kind of run. Typically, you'll see the top, maybe 3 or 4 get transferred through unless it's sort of a lower car turnout. And that's going to make the racing so much more important and so much more probably intense for everyone involved, knowing it's only the top 2 that transferred through. The likes of the people starting on that second row are going to start throwing fists early.
Yeah, you got to be up on the wheel here, especially if you're back where Phil Diaz is back in position number 9. You have to get up on the wheel and hope for something to happen here and hope for those holes to be opened. But Justin Thompson getting ready to lead these guys to green.
Yep, starting field, clicking through on the bottom of your screen will be Justin Thompson and Randall Carter at the head of this first last chance qualifier. Howard Weaver and Brian Wayant on that second row. Garrett Robinson and Virgil Graham on row number 3 with Chris Beck and Blake Brown on row 4 with Phil Diaz starting at the tail of the field. Also with these LCQs, there is a slight difference in the lap count. We bump it up to 12, which means these guys will have a little bit more time to work with rather than the 8 laps that we had in the heat races. That means the track's got more time to change, and you got more time to potentially throw moves on your competition, and as we've seen a couple times already tonight, maybe even move somebody out of the way. But for Justin Thompson in that 98 car, he needs to get ready because he's got a not very large buffer to really work with in terms of potentially being on pole position. If you get something slightly wrong, you will very quickly fall out of a transfer position. Let's take a peek and see as Justin momentarily will be put in command of the field here when the safety truck peels on towards pit road. There it goes, and the 98 car waits, and we go LCQ racing into 2019 for the Morton Buildings late models.
Best start for Howard Weaver on that inside line as well. He's going to clear Randall Carter. We got a little jack up in behind. Everybody keeps it straight for the most part, but now up in front, Thompson continues to lead, but Weaver looking on that left rear quarter for something to happen for the lead position.
Thing is, though, he already gets that transfer spot because Randall Carter did not have a great opening lap and did not have a great turns 3 and 4, but Howard, he wants to prove he's not washed. Side by side, down the back straightaway, in towards 3 and 4. The 07 VLR car works the 98. We got a car upside down in the background, but we stay green in this series under the LCQs. We won't see yellows till the main event as Garrett Robinson, who goes for a tumble. Pretty much going to be the end of his night as the 07 still side by side with the 98.
And as Weaver works that inside line of Thompson, the 37 of Randall Carter, after that restart, after that opening lap, has caught these two. He's got to pass one of them in order to get in to the main event here, but Thompson having his hands full on the outside. Weaver will go to the lead, and now Thompson has to play a little defense. Here comes Carter taking a peek.
Randall Carter, he's on the outside right now, but he's very close to being on the inside of your top two transfer spots. Howard Weaver running the middle now. You see him slowly moving up the racetrack as that middle line has slickened off, and we have a huge 4-car pack in the background as well. Virgil Graham, Phil Diaz, Blake Brown, and Chris Beck. They're not running for transfer spots, but they're 3 abreast at the moment towards the back end of your field because they know if anything happens to this top 3, they will be the ones who inherit the transfer spots.
This is a great battle for your top 3. That 37 of Carter to the inside. Thompson on the outside. Little contact into the corner. And now Thompson will have to go back to the inside. Little crossover move. And Justin Thompson going to have to get up on the wheel if he wants a transfer position. Carter working that outside line. Does Thompson come up and do a little slide job? He's going to take position number 2. Does Carter go back to the inside? No, he sticks to the outside going down to the corner.
Wasn't quite close enough as we're already halfway through LCQ number 1. Matter of fact, we're starting lap 8 of 12 as the 98 works up the inside of Randall Carter. Randall trying to spool it up, little bit of contact, fender to fender, and it's going to be the 37 who has to lift out of that one, and that might bring in the likes of Blake Brown and Virgil Graham into this fight. It's about to be a 4-way scrap for second.
If Justin Thompson wants to transfer, he better start running. Look at that 37. Great move to the outside of that corner, but not enough to get to the outside of Thompson. Looks to the inside, takes a little peek, slides it down, not going to get there. And as you mentioned, here comes that 77 of Blake Brown. Brown wants a piece of it, but he's quickly running out of time. They're working lap number 10. Thompson trying to play defense here. He's got 3 or 4 behind him now that want that spot.
2 laps to go as they come off of turn 4, and can the 98 of Justin Thompson hold on? He has 3 cars. I think all of these 3 are quicker than he is at the moment, but he just has to defend. He's got 1 going low and 1 going high. It's the 77 of Blake Brown looking on the inside, which is where the 98 didn't go through turns 1 and 2, in towards 3 and 4 for the second and final time. The 98 of Justin Thompson will just about get the run he needs. The 37 of Randall Carter, though, he's trying to hold off the 77 of Blake Brown as well. He wants to be the one to take the second spot away. A little bit of contact, nearly 3 wide for the final transfer spot in towards 3. Thompson gets sent a little bit. It's going to be the 77 of Blake Brown who gets it. Howard Weaver will win the LCQ, but it's going to be Blake Brown who on the final lap will steal that second transfer spot away.
He came from position number 8 on the grid, Randy, to take away that second place position. He was clean about it, picked up his spots, and when he needed to do so, he was on the wheel to take away that final transfer position. Congratulations to Blake Brown, Howard Weaver, and everybody else. It was close for third on back as you see it on your screen.
Yeah, crazy close as you look at the gaps there. 0.8 of a second, the gap from first to second, but look at there, second, third, fourth, fifth, all within 0.7, really right on top of each other. And they were closer than that as they were coming off 4. Let me tell you, the gap stretched out a bit as they came to the line. LCQ number 2. If that first one was anything to go off, we're going to see something great. And oh boy, do we got some big names in this field. Head of the field, you're going to have Adam Elby and Drew Herchko on that front row, with Alex Bergeron and Matt McKinney on row number 2. Tyler Schell and Casey Kerwin will make up row 3, with Blake Garrett and Brandon Proudfoot on row number 4. And Jacob Fields and Jeremy Caprone will round out this 10-car field. This is a stacked LCQ for the season opener, Tim.
Yeah, that's an understatement. You got LB in here. Herchko had a great run in his heat race, just fell out a little short. Bergeron is in here. McKinney is in here. You've got Kerwin back there as well. There's only 2 spots, and there's a lot of really good race cars here in this World Championship Series in this LCQ alone. Who do you pick to get your top 2?
Well, the smile has gone off of Casey Kerwin's face. He's not looking nearly as comfortable as he looked before his heat race. So maybe keep an eye on that 14, maybe looking a little bit more determined. He will start a couple rows back from the transfer spots. He will start in 6th. So he will need to find 4 positions to get himself bumped up into a transfer position. But Adam Elby, a runner-up in the NOS Energy Drink Sprint Car Championships just a little bit earlier this year. And Drew Herchko, he was very relevant last year as well. Was in a position to win several of those races, and I believe he won a couple of those races last season. But safety truck ducks on towards pit road, and Adam Elby will be in command of the field. He picks it up 12 laps, and what's going to be the duo who transfers here in this one?
Bergeron had it timed well, but he's got a angry pack behind him trying to take that second place position. He'll slide up in front of Herchko. Herchko goes back to the inside. Alex took a look, and now on the attack is Alex Bergeron. LB going to lead lap number 1, but Bergeron is right there.
The 26 of Drew Herchko going backwards. The 14 of Kerwin. Casey's up in the wall, but he's able to recover, but he drops to the tail end of the field. Alex Bergeron, though, he will go to the point in that number 12 car, but just for a moment as Adam Elby will fight back on the outside off of turn 4, side by side for the race lead and side by side for 3rd and 4th. And I see 3 wide in the background as the 14 of Kerwin is trying to muscle his way back toward the head of the field.
Go or go home here in this last chance qualifier. As you see them on your screen, Casey Kerwin is wheeling that thing. Your top 2 have broken away a little bit from this battle that you see here. Kerwin a little bit sideways once again, loses a little momentum. He's going to have to dig deep here in the late laps, but speaking of digging deep, LB keeping Bergeron honest up in front.
And the gap they've managed to open up, I think Adam Elby is likely going to tame it off just a little bit on the 12 car, knowing that there's a huge margin at the moment, and that margin could be the difference from not making it and making it. A little bit of tightness from Adam Elby coming out of turn 2. That's going to allow Herchko to come in towards this fight just a little bit. Didn't quite have the exit off of 2 that he wanted. Now as you actually seen these guys, Tim, the top side of the racetrack starting to go away. Everyone's starting to run right up against the wall all the way around this racetrack.
And Herchko trying to close in. If you want to make it into the A main, you've got to really dig deep here. Elby falling off the pace of Bergeron here. Now the 26 of Herchko gains a little bit of time on that lap. We're in the second half of this 12-lap LCQ. We're on lap number 7. We got 6 laps to go. Who is going to end up taking this one away? The 26 of Herchko is now on the back bumper, playing that offense to try to take away that final transfer position.
Alex Bergeron has opened up the gap, and I think he's pretty much comfortable at this point. But it's this duo that we're going to have to watch. Adam Elby tight once again off of turn 2, runs a little bit up the racetrack. Everyone else running a little bit lower line down the back straightaway in towards 3 and 4. Herchko is there and is making Adam think just a little bit every time he turns in. We start lap number 9 of 12, and Herchko, he's fallen off just a little bit, Tim, and needs to close him back up to size up what will likely be about a last lap move.
We saw this with the last Consi. The second place driver fell back into the clutches of 3rd, 4th, and 5th on back, and it ended up being a hard charger taking away that last transfer position. Are we seeing the same story unfold here? Elby up the racetrack. Herchko gets a great run off too. Takes a little bit of a peek to the inside. Can't get there at this point. They'll come by this time and see 2 laps to go. Another great run into the corner by Herchko, but Elby occupies that position. Who's it going to be taking away that final transfer spot into the main?
3/4 of a mile to go for these two. They're working towards 3 and 4, and Herchko nearly able to get alongside the 74 of Elby. Elby a little bit loose through the center of 3 and 4 this time. That's going to allow Herchko to close in towards 1 and 2 for the final time. Elby still running that slightly higher line up the racetrack. Can Herchko take advantage? Bergeron is clear and is going to win this LCQ unless he makes a mistake in the 26 of Herchko. He tags the wall on the inside, and that's going to end his night. The 74 of Elby will hold on.
You mentioned that one word, Randy, mistake. Herchko hit the wall on the inside. Adam Elby gave him the line on the inside, gave him enough room to operate down there, but just could not get there. Tried to get a little too much, and there we go. Another great finish to a heat race or Consi, and now we set up for the final event of the evening. That was a great race to close off the qualifying races here.
Definitely was. Your top two transfers, Bergeron and Elby, they will take the tail end of the field in the main event here in just a couple of moments. Perchko, McKinney, Fields, Garrett, Caprone, Proudfoot, Shell, and Kerwin. It is the end of their night, and they can come back and compete once again next week on Monday night. Do not go away, though, here on RaceSpotTV. We are going to take a short break before we bring you our main... I take that back. That's my mistake there, but it's been a fantastic show for these guys, Tim. The racetrack's been racy. Everything like that has been absolutely amazing thus far. 50-lap feature event here. Things are about to be pretty awesome.
Yeah, this one is going to be exciting. We saw some great racing in the heat races and the consies as the warm-up begins to roll out onto the racetrack. And there's some drivers like Alex Bergeron deep in the field that are going to try to make their way up. Hauser was pretty good in his heat race. He starts deep in the pack. There's 20 capable race car drivers here. There's a lot that didn't make it in through those consies. I'm excited for this 50-lap feature.
Yeah, it's going to be absolutely amazing. The top drivers, Hayden Cardwell, Kendall Tucker, Zach Leonardi, and Dylan Fox, of course, those four winning the heat races. They're really the ones to keep an eye out. But, of course, as always on dirt racing, Tim, it's not uncommon to see a car be quick in qualifying and be quick in their heat race when the track's in relatively nice condition. There's been nearly, 40, 50 laps probably put into the circuit since some of these guys have been out here. This place is slickened up quite a bit, and we even saw in that last LCQ, that racing line moved sort of from the middle to high line, and everyone migrated down to the bottom. You got to be comfortable to run down there, because this place is going to beat up with 20 super late models out here running for 50 laps. There's not going to be any tacky dirt out there by the end of the night.
Yeah, you're going to have to adjust as you go through this race, and you mentioned it. We ran 8-lap heat races, we ran 12-lap consies, and now we're running a 50-lap A main, so not only are you going for a short sprint, you've got some time to get up to the front. We seen in that first consi race where our transferees worked their way up and ended up going from 8th up to position number 2 at the end of it. So we'll see if Brown can do it again. But it's a long road to hoe, but it's a long race, 50 laps, and but he's got some company that want to do the same thing and go to victory lane.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of people who want to get the way at the head of this field, because remember, there is money up for grabs for winning these races. $300 to first, $200 to second, and $100 goes to your final podium position finisher. Tim, I know this is sort of your first dose of dirt that we've had on the sim thus far, and definitely first for broadcasting it here on RaceSpotTV. Who's your choice to win from what we saw and seen tonight?
Man, I don't know how you can pick just one winner. There's so many good drivers in this World Championship Series for the World of Outlaws. Obviously, Leonardi starting in position number 3 after doing well in his heat race, and he looked comfortable in his heat race up front. Going to be hard to top the kid that won the championship last year, but he's got 19 others that want the same goal.
So with that, the pre-race warm-up will come to an end, and we have 20 of the best super late model drivers on the iRacing service gridding up here at Volusia Speedway Park. Let's go down the starting grid for the 50-lap main event. Hayden Cardwell will take the point here for the season opener at Volusia, with Kendall Tucker on the outside of that front row in the 00. The defending series champion, though, Zach Leonardi, who will make up the inside of that second row, with Dylan Fox starting in the 4th spot to his right. Blake Cannon and Austin Carr will make up row number 3, with Blake Matulos and Steven Wilson on row number 4. Evan C. and Kevin Dedman will make up row 5, with Shad Prescott and Tyler Ducharme residing on row number 6. James Edens and Nick Cooper are on row number 7, with Dylan Hauser and Austin Semmelman on row number 8. Howard Weaver and Alex Bergeron on row number 9, with Blake Brown and Adam Elby rounding out the 20-car field in this one. The field rolls their way out, and it's a lot of white cars that I see at the head of the field, Tim. I think we have a couple of teammates. Of course, the dirt teammates, the dirt racing guys, Hayden Cardwell, as well as on the outside of that second row, Dylan Fox. I'd keep an eye and maybe see if those guys work together a little bit to try to gap themselves early from the competition around them.
You talked about a lot of beautiful race cars as well in this one. That 72 car is a sharp-looking piece, as is the 00 and the rest of these cars in this field. But I like the look of a green race car. I don't like the bad luck superstitions. That's out the window. This 72 car might have something here. He's going to have the control on this initial start of this one, though.
Yep, he will, and that's going to be a tremendous advantage, especially with how pacey these guys have been. We saw quite often in the North Energy Drink Sprint Car Championship Series that the driver on pole position often had a huge advantage going into the main event and into the races. So those drivers at the head of the field, being able to command the field, they can get their way quickly away from the hard chargers in the background. And we've already seen a couple times tonight, sometimes even if you have the pole, the hard chargers can still come up and get you. Regardless, the season opener for the World of Outlaws Morton Buildings Late Model Championship Series here on iRacing. Season opener here at Volusia, the first 50-lap feature event coming at you tonight, and the 72 of Hayden Cardwell picks up the throttle, and we are green for 50 laps of action.
Cardwell down into corner number 1 will pick up that lead position. Leonardi tries to get into position number 2. Tucker falls into that position, though, and now begins chase on Cardwell. 4 wide in behind for a moment there. It's getting dicey.
They're making a little bit of contact as you see Zach Leonardi isolated up top. Dylan Fox in the 999. He's going to get forced in the middle, and he'll lift out of it in towards corners number 1 and 2. So they'll go from 4 wide into 2 by 2 up and down the field. Hayden Cardwell currently leads the way, but the 00 of Kendall Tucker is keeping him honest down there on the bottom.
Keeping him honest on the bottom, trying to pick up that lead position, maybe put a little bit of pressure on him, but as we mentioned, lots of laps to work here. 50-lap A-main. Leonardi has found his way back to position number 3. Carr now has his hands completely full with Fox on the outside, and here comes Blake Cannon trying to make a battle out of it. This is for position number 4.
Fight's picking up everywhere as they work their way through. Hayden Cardwell still leads. The fight for second, though, is where it's picking up as Zach Leonardi's been able to close in on Kendall Tucker.
Continues to work around here just behind them. That battle for position number 4 heats up. Dylan Fox taking a little peek on the outside to the inside. Austin Carr trying to work that inside groove, and just behind, Cannon's been going up and down the racetrack a little bit here in these first 5 laps of the race. Trying to take a little peek to the middle groove right now as he sees those 2 in front battling side by side. Looks like that 999 of Fox on the outside will take that advantage. Carr will fall back 1, and now where does the 44 Blake Cannon go? He looks to the outside.
Drivers working all over the place at the moment, trying these different lines, trying to work their way forward, but the 72 of Hayden Cardwell has been able to open up a gap at the head of the field, nearly 7/10 of a second, 7.5 of a second nearly, as they work through corners number 1 and 2. Field fights up and down the field, though. I saw him nearly 3 abreast in the background. I think that might be, yes, it is, Kevin Dedman. He's involved in this fight. The 52 of James Edens is there, the 2 of Dylan Hauser. We've seen tonight already how aggressive he can be. They're fanning out nearly 3 abreast towards the tail end of your field, fighting as well with the 32 of Stephen Wilson.
Fox may have had a little bit of a drift up into the fence there. He's lost 1 position up here for that battle for position number 4. There's battles all over this racetrack. Cannon now has his hands full. See, on the inside in the 33, trying to make something happen here. It's at that point in the race where these drivers are really starting to feel out their race cars and feel out this racetrack of what it's going to do after the first 10 laps of competition here, as we'll come by this time and start the 10th lap.
Lap number 10 of 50 starting to get logged right now. Field starting to single file out just a little bit. Kevin Dedman still has his hands full with the 35 of Nick Cooper and the 12 of Alex Bergeron. Remember how quickly he charged early on in this night. He's already up 3 positions thus far from where he started. He's trying to work with Nick Cooper to get around Kevin Dedman. A little bit of contact from the 35, and they'll both go around him on either side. Kevin Dedman loses 2 spots down the front straightaway.
Bergeron on that outside line trying to pick up 1 more position here in battle with the 35 of Cooper. Drives it in on that outside line, lets it drag, and can't get the position as of yet. It's got the line on the outside, but Bergeron trying to make it happen from the back of the field. Picks up 1 more spot here, and now we'll have to close in on that great battle in front of him. Edens gets a little sideways, a little contact as he battles with Edens.
I think it was a little bit of contact. Dylan Hauser and James Edens, the 2, and the 52 is the 2 car, tries to slam the door on the 12 of Alex Bergeron, but Alex is not afraid. He slots it up on the outside, along that outside wall, and he's going to pick it up. So Bergeron dicing through this field, already up 6 spots from where he started, and hounding down the 52 of Jaden Edens to get himself up into the 11th spot. Out in front, though, it's still the 72 car of Hayden Cardwell who leads. Second spot currently comfortably held by Kendall Tucker. Closest fight amongst your leaders is Zach Leonardi and Austin Carr. They were nearly side by side for a moment off of 2, but the one car has since lost a little bit of ground.
You mentioned that battle back there with Bergeron. Bergeron was able to get up to Edens, but hasn't been able to do anything. And as I say that, goes it in on the inside and tries to pick up one more position. Bergeron knows that he has to go, but look right behind. Hauser tries to throw it in on the inside. Maybe a little contact there. The 12 of Bergeron trying to get that one more position, but now has to play a little bit of defense. There goes the 2. Throws it in. Hauser is here to play this evening.
Seems like there's so many 2s around this fight. The 32, the 52, the 12, and the 2 car. All of them fighting with one another as Bergeron right up against the outside wall as he comes off of corner number 4, and Edens is able to hold on as we approach the halfway point of this race. Steven Wilson, he's going to run the bottom ahead of these 2. These guys run the middle and the top, so the 52 of Edens gets a great run down the back straightaway, but can't quite close on that frosty white and blue looking number 32 car.
Hauser's had a good run the last couple laps, going to the inside, throwing it in on Bergeron, but hasn't been able to make any inroads on it. And as they battle, Bergeron way up the racetrack, it closes in. Nick Cooper one more time. Cooper wants another position out of this fight, and as they battle, it's about 5 seconds behind your leader. Cartwell is out by almost 2 seconds on the rest of the field now.
Cardwell is putting on an absolute clinic. It's a 24 and the 1. Fight with one another in towards 3 and 4. Austin Carr has been able to make that gap up that we saw a little bit ago and start working on your defending series champion. Off of turn 4, I think the 1 car just about had the position at the line, but it wasn't by much. Now the 00 starting to get in and amongst this fight as well. So we're about to have a 3-car scrap for the second spot.
Kendall Tucker's fallen back here to the outside. He goes, and Leonardi trying to take that position. Little contact there. There goes the 24 around, and there goes the 1 around on the inside. Carr's going around.
Caution flies for the first time here tonight on lap number 21 of 50. Let's take a peek on what could have caused that. And I think that was just hard racing, Tim. All these guys kind of stacked up in front of the 1 of Austin Carr, Leonardi, and the 00 of Kendall Tucker. That caused him to check up, and I think the 999 of Dylan Foxwood, and expecting that, got in the back of him and turned him around. Shouldn't be race-ending damage there, but for Austin Carr, he's going to go to the tail end of the field. So we're going to have one of our quickest cars by the looks of things of the night, restarting here in that 20th spot. He's going to be fun to watch with the way those guys in the mid-pack are fighting.
We've had a couple of movers so far in this race. We keep mentioning Alex Bergeron. He's now into position number 10 after that'll all shake out. Shad Prescott's moved up a few positions as well. The 41's moved up to position number 7 after starting in 11th place. So this caution flag might be what those drivers need to gain those extra few spots and maybe get a top 5 finish, if not get on the podium here this evening. But Cardwell has been up front. He's dominated this race so far, was out by 2 seconds before that caution flag flew. But now Leonardi, Tucker fell back there on that run prior to the caution flag flying. Dylan Fox has a quick car. Blake Cannon also has a quick car as well. But Cardwell going to control this one up front. We'll see what he can do over the remaining 25 laps or so, just about to reach the halfway point. But Cardwell's look quick.
The thing is, Tim, this is always a stressful point of the night, isn't it? Because you've been out there, you sort of managed to break your way out from the rest of the field, and you kind of are able to go 20 laps, run away from everybody, and then you reset. And it's sort of it stacks on, I think, in 2 ways. One, I think as the leader, you're going to want to reopen that gap up, and those guys behind, they know how pacey you are. Leonardi's going to throw a move if he can if anything, keep you from opening that gap up early.
Indeed he will. As the 72 of Cardwell going to lead this thing back to green, and this restart going to be key to try to get out there and try to build a lead. But Leonardi and Tucker going to try to get up here and get on the wheel to see what they have for the lead in the final half of this race.
So the first half goes mostly green. Caution here in the midway point. We'll be back to racing on lap number 25. iRacing safety truck on pit road, and Hayden picks the throttle up early. We're back to green, and Zach gets a decent start on the outside.
Outside car Leonardi gets a great start and holds position number 2 way behind them. They're battling for 3rd on back. Tucker still on that inside line to the outside. Fox trying to take it away, and look at the 44 of Cannon. Beautiful corner in 3 and 4 to try to set up a battle for position number 4. Tucker still stuck on that inside line. That's not really where he wants to be right now by the looks of it.
And they're fanning out 4 wide just about again. They end up getting 3 wide. The 44 up top, the 00 in the middle of Kendall Tucker. I think a little bit of a mistake as the 33 of Evan C. will just about make that move on him, but can't quite hold as they get to the line. 3 wide behind as well. The 12 of Bergeron in this fight. The 32 is Steven Wilson. The 2 of Dylan Hauser. Hauser was in the middle getting absolutely bounced around. He drops back a couple of car lengths.
Fox made one small mistake. It opened the door for Cannon for position number 3, and Leonardi just barely ahead of this battle for position number 3. The 00 once again of Tucker trying to peek to the inside. 33 AC is in this battle as well. Where did the 41 of Prescott come from? He's working his way up as well. Phenomenal racing for second on back.
Prescott started from the 11th spot. He's already up to about 7, so been a fantastic night of racing for him in this main event as they rolled through 1 and 2 and down the back straightaway. Blake Cannon trying to hold off a charging Dylan Fox while not letting the 24 of Zach Leonardi slip through his fingers and start heading the way up the field. 3 wide towards the front of your field. The 999 of Dylan Fox involved with that fight for a moment. I think it was the 11 car sliding off the bottom who made that sort of happen just for a moment. Excuse me, the 41 of Chad Prescott. They get it 2x2 back out though as Bergeron and Hauser, they've been able to get around the people they were fighting in the mid-pack and start working up to your race leaders. The 12 of Alex Bergeron started this race 18th. He is nearly at the front of this.
And Blake Cannon's been able to establish a little bit of a gap now back to position number 4. The battle rages on as Tucker tries to get up there. A little slide on the outside and going to open the door a little bit for Prescott. Prescott falls back in behind, sees that battle in front of him. C on the inside in the 33 trying to pick up 1. And where did Alex Bergeron come from? Flashes a nose inside this battle as well as Cannon pulls away with 3rd. Fox has 4th, but he's got a whole host of hungry competitors behind him. And oh, by the way, Cannon looks like he's caught Leonardi for 2nd.
What a move from Alex Bergeron in the background. Dylan Hauser got up the inside of him, made it 3 wide with James Edens. Alex worked the cutback, drove it up the middle of the 52 and the 2, and he took those spots right back. So that's a hard fight in your mid-pack as those guys continue trying to run their way towards the head of the field. Leonardi, Cannon, and Fox, they're still all over each other as well, nose to tail. The 33 of Evan C, he's fighting with Chad Prescott. Those guys are all over the place, and the 00 of Kendall Tucker is going to take advantage.
Medulla's there as well to the inside of Prescott as they'll go at it for that spot. 00 of Tucker's been up and down these last couple laps and now in the middle of this racetrack trying to defend from Prescott. Prescott gets that great run off the top of the racetrack but can't go anywhere, kind of boxed in right now. Medulla's to the inside trying to pick up 1 more as they continue to go at it, and Bergeron now a part of the battle.
There fighting with the 127 of Blake Matula, but can't quite find an opening. He's going to try to make one for himself. Up the middle, the 2 of Hauser's there on the inside as well. It seems like every time Alex makes a move, Dylan makes one as well. They're side by side in towards turn 3. Little bit of contact as Hauser kind of gives Alex a fender. So Hauser's going to pick that spot up, and Alex may lose another one to the 35 as well. That 1 car, by the way, who brought out the caution of Austin Carr, he has been unable to really work his way back through this field. He currently runs 15th, but he's still trapped there amongst all the drivers towards the back of the field.
Yeah, he's still got a little ways to work here late in this one. Leonardi has his hands completely full. Cannon has taken position number 2 away now. It's a battle for position number 2, about a 2.5 seconds behind your leader, Cardwell. Cardwell has run and hid from the rest of this field. Cannon up to 2nd, Leonardi back to 3rd, and they all fight for 2nd on back here as we close in on 10 to go in a couple laps here.
Early working lap number 39, getting ready to start lap 40 in just a couple of moments. Look up the inside, the 999 of Dylan Fox on the 33 of Evan C. Nothing's going to go there, and in fact, he's going to move backwards a little bit towards that 00 of Kendall Tucker. The 2 of Dylan Hauser starting to reel these drivers in as well. The 12 of Bergeron was unable to get around Blake Matulos, and at the moment, Dylan Hauser can't do it either. He's maintaining just a little bit of overlap, but he'll single file it out as they roll off of turn 4. Ahead of him, 3 wide, as the 41 goes up the middle. The 999 of Dylan Fox, he's going to run right in the middle. The 41 on the bottom, the 00 of Kendall Tucker up top, and they'll get 2 wide as they roll into 3.
It seems like once Tucker gets into a rhythm, it's a little bit smoother for Tucker. He likes that outside line, now pokes the nose down to the inside, maybe a little crossover on Fox. Prescott is there to the inside as well, trying to steal a couple of positions. And where did Hauser come from? Hauser now a part of the battle to the inside of Tucker and trying to pick up a couple more here. Hauser is on the march looking for at least a top 5 run before this one is all said and done.
And the fight for the, contact between the 2 and the 00. Thought maybe we might see a car get around and we might get a caution. Fights in your top 5 picking up as well. Evan C has been able to get around Zach Leonardi. That 03 car now runs in the 3rd spot and is trying to chase down Blake Cannon for 2nd. And he thinks that 03 car, he's got pace on this slickened off racetrack as we approach 5 to go.
Up the racetrack goes Cannon C to the inside as they'll duel it out for position number 2. It's about almost 2 seconds behind Hayden Cardwell, your leader. The 44 continues to roll the top. The inside goes C. They get single file now for the time being. If the 33 wants to take position number 2, he's going to have to be smooth here. He was smooth through corners number 1 and 2. Can he pitch it down into 3? Side-by-side battle for second. They'll come to 5 to go.
We had a car in the wall. I think it may have been the 999 at Dylan Fox, but he's been able to rebound nicely. As up the inside, Evan C. can't quite pick that spot up on the 44 of Blake Cannon. Down the back straightaway, inside 5 to go. Contact between the 2 of them and the 33 of Evan C. is into the wall.
Leonardi trying to close in. The 44 of Cannon was able to escape that contact with that second place position. C's got to try to get back up on the wheel and try to make something happen. Cannon goes a little bit wide, trying to use what's left of that outside line. Gets the guardrail a little bit at a corner number 2. 33 of C trying to make it happen down to the inside. Great side-by-side battle for position number 2. It gets back to single file racing, 2 seconds behind your leader, Hayden Cardwell, as he'll come by this next time and see 2 laps to go.
2 laps to go for the 72 of Hayden Cardwell as he continues to run away from the field. The 33 of Evan C, though, has the 44's hands full for second. 2 laps remaining, in towards 1 and 2. Little contact for second. Can Evan C take the opportunity that he's just opened up for himself? Side by side in towards turn 3 as they come towards the white flag. Evan C noses into the second spot for now, and I think he's going to pick it up off of 4. White flag this time through. Blake Cannon throws a Hail Mary in towards turn 1. Little bit of contact once again, saying anything you can do, I can do better. He will take that spot back off of turn 2, in towards 3 and 4 for the final time. Hayden Cardwell is going to win the season opener at Volusia, and Blake Cannon is going to take that second spot right back on the final lap as they cross the checkers.
Cannon timed that perfectly to take that spot back from C. And in behind, looks like Prescott has found his way to position number 4. Leonardi falls to 5th at the checkered flag. So a couple of well-timed passes, but it was all behind this cat right here in front. Hayden Cardwell is going to light it up on the front straightaway as a winner, and pretty much completely dominated this one. Randy, he had that little caution about midway and still was able to take away this victory as the fireworks go off down the back straightaway.
Leading all 50 laps here with Hayden Cardwell, put an absolute clinic on here tonight at Volusia. He'll take a handful of victory laps, will that number 72 car, and he should be more than happy with himself as, oh, by the way, there'll be an extra $300 going into his pocket, picking up the purse win here tonight. Let's take a peek at your finishing results here from the season opener of your World of Outlaws Morton Buildings Late Model Championship Series. So after 50 laps of action, the 72 of Hayden Cardwell, he will take victory with Blake Cannon on us coming home in second, with Evan C. third, Shad Prescott in fourth. Great run from him. He comes from 11th, passes 7 cars, get himself up into the top 5, with Zach Leonardi rounding out that top 5. Dylan Hauser and Alex Bergeron 6th and 7th. I think those are the 2 most fun drivers to watch all night. They come from 15th up to 6th for Hauser and 18th up to 7th from the 12 of Bergeron. Blake Matulos, he moves himself down 1 spot from 7th into 8th. Dylan Fox finishes in 9th, and Nick Cooper will round out your top 10. Kendall Tucker will come home in the 11th spot, Austin Carr in 12th, James Edens 13th, Tyler Ducharme in 14th, Kevin Dedman 15th, with Steven Wilson, Austin Semmelman, Blake Brown, and Adam Elby rounding out the 19 cars who finished on the lead lap. Only Howard Weaver did not finish this race. He will come home in 20th, 13 laps down here this evening. Tim, what a fantastic show we just got here tonight. I can't think of a better way to get you into the booth here for one of these dirt track events here on the iRacing service.
Yeah, this was an excellent show. Glad I could be here for this opener. You look at some of those battles at the end of this race. You had Blake Cannon, Evan C. going back and forth. Shad Prescott dug deep when it mattered and ended up taking away position number 4 at the end of that to get a little bit closer to that podium, but couldn't crack it here this evening. So we had a couple of really good battles at the end of this one, battles in the qualifying throughout, and at the end of it, it's Hayden Cardwell going to victory lane, and a dominant victory, as you mentioned. Was able to control the start, control the restart about halfway through this one, and take away a great victory here.
Yep, it definitely was. And for those who are wondering about the Twitter follower counts of this broadcast boost, don't worry. We'll be up to our usual and expected Twitter follower numbers when we have Chase Rodman back next week for the second round of this championship. Tim and I are definitely slacking in that department. But post-race coverage starts now. We don't have your race winner on hand just yet, but I believe Tim Terry, he stood by with the 44 of Blake Cannon, who finished second tonight.
Let's see if we can catch up with our second place driver. Blake, talk about that battle at the end between you and Evan, back and forth. What was going through your mind when he made that move with 2 laps to go?
It was just hard, clean race, and I used him up, not gonna lie, a little bit, but I feel like he kind of made a hole that wasn't there. But either way, I had a really good piece. Just that long green flag run, I run Hayden down a little bit, and we were kind of mirroring lap times, and then the top kind of went away, and I had nothing, so. To come home second, I was just hanging on there at the end.
10 race season, first race of the year. You have to be happy with position number 2. Or with the way these races can play out, are you thinking big picture at the start of the year to try to take away that big championship?
Oh, absolutely. It doesn't matter if you go out here and win the first 3 races. If you don't finish all 10 races, then it doesn't mean anything. So big picture is definitely in mind here. Second is definitely a great way to start off the season. So I need a little work to do, but this isn't one of my best racetracks, so we'll move forward.
And I'm sure you'll get up on the wheel here in week number 2. What do we expect next week? What do you think of the venue that we're going to?
I'm not a huge fan of Lemland, but it's a completely different ball game now. Haven't been there in a little while, so I'm hoping we're all right. If I can just ride around top 5, I'll be happy with that. Felt like we had a winning car tonight. If I could have, got around some of them guys a little bit quicker and maybe had a late race caution. But either way, we'll take second. I mean, I'm not disappointed at all. I wasn't really optimistic going into the night, so really happy.
Beautiful looking 44 car here this season. Who's on the side for marketing partners? Who makes it happen to get to the virtual racetrack?
I appreciate it. Just everybody at Swindell Speed Lab, they do a hell of a job week in and week out. I can't thank them enough. When we merged earlier this year, it was really good, and I was kind of questionable about it, but we've made the most of it, and I've enjoyed every minute of it. So I gotta thank everybody over there, Kevin, everybody that helps me out with James, LB, Chase, Kendall, Blake. They all had a good run tonight, just some bad luck. But I gotta thank Swindell first and foremost. Bell, Weiser, I think it's Augusta Aquatics as well. Just a bunch of people help, and it's just I didn't expect to run second tonight, really.
There you go, Randy. There's Blake Cannon. Got up on the wheel at the end of that, finished in position number 2, and a great way to start off this 2019 championship for the World of Outlaws late models. And I believe you've caught up with our third place finisher who battled with the 44 there at the end.
Yeah, we're still waiting to get a hold of the 72 of Hayden Cardwell, but Evan, I think everyone's OCD may be a little bit happy with that 33 car coming home into the third spot, but I'm sure you would have liked to upset everyone's OCD and make it up one more. But it was a fantastic fight with you and Blake, both of you kind of moving each other, you doing it on the 49th lap, him doing it on the 50th. I'm sure that was more than a fun battle to be a part of.
Yeah, it was fun to come up through the field and run the bottom like that. I'd have liked to have been drove a little bit cleaner than just pushing me up the track to pass me, but it is what it is.
Now, this season opener at Volusia, I mean, talk about the track here today. There's always discussions on the sort of racing we're going to see, especially with the way that Tyler Hudson really kind of puts his head down to make sure that you guys get a good surface going into the nights of these races, kind of controlling the practice to make sure you guys got a good surface. Track seemed pretty racy tonight. How did it seem from your perspective?
Yeah, well, like you had to, set your car up to either run up high or down low, and I had mine. I knew that the bottom was probably going to come in later in the race, so I just stayed patient on the bottom and was able to pass some guys in front of me once the track started to kind of slow up on the high side and slicking off a lot.
We head to a bull ring next week at Limaland quarter-mile racetrack. High banks, very, very quick. I'm sure we're going to see some physical racing. How do you think that's going to go, and any predictions for that one?
Yeah, Limaland is always a fun, action-packed track. I haven't raced on it a whole lot after this new build, so I don't really know what to expect. But I know in the previous builds, it's always been 3, 4 wide, even 5 wide sometimes for such a small track. So I'm sure we'll put on a show for him next week.
Well, thanks for joining us, Evan, and congrats on at least starting your championship out here strong with a 3rd place finish. $100 goes into your pocket. Before we let you go, who gets it done for that Team VLR number 33?
Yeah, just thank Team VLR, Full Throttle Performance, Kevin Dedman at Dirty Grass Soul, Jeremy Capron at Capron Screen Printing, and all the other guys that helped make this possible.
There he was. Evan Seehee finishes in the 3rd place here tonight, and I think he'll be more than happy with that moving out in towards the 2nd round at Limaland. Tim, I'm really hopeful for this championship once again here, the World of Outlaws Morton Buildings Late Model iRacing Championship Series. This first race, this first night of action, I think was pretty much, I think as good as anyone could really hope for and really expect. We saw some great racing at the front of the field. We saw some fantastic racing in the mid-pack, which is always what you really expect to get with late models. 3 wide, 4 wide several times here tonight. It was an action-packed Volusia Speedway Park here this evening.
We saw some great racing in the qualifying action in the heat races and in the LCQs, and you saw some names that we probably thought would make the A-main that didn't make the A-main. You look at those drivers that are outside, guys like Matthew McKinney. You look down at Casey Kerwin, Justin Thompson that didn't make the show. Herchko was really quick. Wayant was really quick. And that's the list of drivers that was outside the A-main. Didn't make the cut after qualifying when it comes to those top 20. And then in that race, Hayden Cardwell comes out and pretty much stomps on the field tonight and takes away the victory. But, it's a different week number 2. Go to Limaland. It's going to be a great show. I'll be watching on the iRacing Esports Network. And if you're just seeing this for the first time, get on iRacing. Enjoy some great dirt racing. I might have to dig the wheel out at some point, Randy, and try some of this because it looks exciting from up here. Can't wait to watch you guys next week and see how this whole season turns out, because I think with the way it's raced here this evening, I think there's going to be a lot of twists and turns before you hit the dirt track at Charlotte.
So as we get some, I believe we've actually gotten our race winner who's made a late appearance here. And we'll check here with the voice because there's another name that joined our TeamSpeak channel I'm skeptical of. Hayden Cardwell, you got a copy? Okay, that's not Howard, so we're good. Hayden, you drove an absolutely perfect race here tonight. You were quickest in qualifying, quickest in your heat. You basically decimated the field for the entire 50 laps here. Talk me through your night, because that 72 looked on rails.
Oh yeah, first off, I just want to appreciate you. It was all in all good night. I was kind of worried there at the end of practice. A couple teammates, they were running a quicker lap time, so I kind of pulled out a lap in qualifying. I really wasn't expecting it. And then for the feature, I just kind of threw the kitchen sink at it and ended up working out. The track got really rough, but we managed to hold on, and it's an honor to be a part of this series.
As we move to the bull ring next week, always an action-packed track. I loved the quarter-milers that we had last season, and I think they're going to be some of the highlights for you guys as well. But I'm sure it's going to be probably a little bit rough on the drivers. How do you guys feel heading in towards the quarter-mile high banks of Limaland next week?
It should be a pretty good race. Limaland's probably one of my favorite tracks on here. It's a little bull ring. It produces 3-wide racing all the time throughout the field. It should be interesting this week with all the competition we have in this series. It's just going to be tough to make every show, and them top 5s every week, top 10s is what it's going to do to get a championship.
And then $300 for you, new for this championship, of course. Happened in the NOS Energy Drink Sprint Cars as well, but new for 2019. $300 the purse goes to the race winner in these championships all season long. Your $300 already spent?
We don't know about that. We'll have to wait till the end of the season.
All right, well, we'll wait for that for Hayden Cardwell. But Hayden, congratulations on winning the A-Main here tonight and putting in a very, probably one of the most dominant performances I've seen in the late models in a long, long time. Before we let you go, who gets it done for that number 1 dirt car?
Oh yeah, I just want to go ahead and thank everybody at DUNRT, Eddie Livingston for allowing me to be a part of this such great team. Shad, he came out of the 3rd heat. I think he struggled in qualifying, ended up finishing inside the top 5. Fox had bad luck there at the end, but with all of us working together, we're going to end up doing pretty good in this points title, and if we can stay consistent, we should be at the end. Just can't thank everybody at iRacing for allowing us to do this. Can't thank y'all for the broadcast. Y'all do more than amazing job. Just can't thank everybody that makes this thing go in circles.
Well, we appreciate your appreciation, Hayden. Congratulations on the win once again, and good luck to you and everyone else at D1RT heading out to Lima Land.
Thank you.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for us here on RaceSpotTV on the iRacing Esports Network. Thank you once again for joining us and making us a part of your Monday evening. Be sure to tune in tomorrow night for the eNASCAR Peak Antifreeze iRacing Series as that championship comes back at Chicagoland, and in 7 days' time, we will have the second round of the World of Outlaws Morton Buildings Late Models iRacing Championship Series live from Lima Land. Before we let you go, huge shout outs to all the sponsors, of course, to World of Outlaws and Morton Buildings for their support of this championship. This couldn't happen without them, and it's great to have you guys on board and bring you the second leg of World of Outlaws World Championship competition in 2019. And huge thanks as well to Dirt Vision to all of their support of this championship as well. Until the second round of this championship next week, we will see you all next time. Bye-bye.